My husband said he needed creative space in our shared home office. By month 2, I was the one who'd quietly solved a problem he didn't know existed. We'd worked from home together for 3 years without issue. Same apartment, same second bedroom converted into a workspace. A long IKEA desk running the length of one wall. I'm a technical writer. I need quiet, sustained focus. Long, uninterrupted blocks where I can think through dense documentation without being pulled out of it. Daniel is in sales. His day is calls, energy, momentum, talking to people across time zones with the kind of enthusiasm that fills a room whether you want it to or not. It worked, mostly because I adapted. I learned his call schedule and planned my deepest work around it. I wore noise-canceling headphones from 9 to 11 and again from 2 to 4. I stopped scheduling my most complex projects for Tuesday afternoons when his West Coast pipeline calls ran long. I didn't think of this as a sacrifice. I thought of it as cohabitation. Then Daniel hired a career coach, which I supported completely. What I didn't anticipate was that the coach would identify his home office environment as a limitation. He came home from a session one evening and told me he needed the office to himself 3 days a week. He framed it as a professional boundary. He'd been feeling constrained, not producing his best work, and he needed room to operate at full volume without worrying about my focus. I said okay, I meant it. I set up a temporary workspace at the kitchen table and discovered, within the first week, that I was more productive than I'd been in years. No anticipatory tension before his calls. No half-awareness of his energy in my peripheral vision. I finished a project 2 days ahead of deadline. I started a documentation system I'd been conceptually developing for months, but never had the clean mental space to actually build. Meanwhile, Daniel had the office entirely to himself. He was thriving, he said. He could pace, he could think out loud, he could take calls standing up without moderating his volume. I was genuinely glad for him. Week 5, he asked how I was managing the kitchen table setup. I told him it was working well. He seemed surprised. He'd expected me to be struggling, I think, for the arrangement to feel like a temporary inconvenience we were both tolerating. When I showed him my output tracker, a simple document I kept, projects completed, hours logged, deadline performance, he went quiet in a specific way. He asked why I hadn't told him I was doing better. I said I hadn't thought it required an announcement. He sat down and looked at the document for a long moment. Then he asked something I didn't expect. He asked how long I'd been working around his schedule. I told him the truth. Since about 6 months after we moved in together. I walked him through it. The headphone blocks, the project scheduling, the Tuesday afternoons. Not as grievances, just as facts. He'd never asked about my workflow because my work had always appeared to simply function. He'd assumed that was its natural state. It hadn't occurred to him that its natural state was something I'd engineered carefully around the shape of his day. He was quiet for a long time after that. He didn't apologize dramatically. He's not that kind of person, and I wouldn't have wanted him to be. He said, "I think I've been taking up more space than I realized." I said, "I think that's probably right, and I think I made it easy for you not to notice." We redesigned the office together the following weekend. Proper acoustic panels on his side. A dedicated corner setup on mine with a door signal system. A small colored card, green for flexible, red for deep focus. It cost $4 and solved more than any room reassignment ever had. He checks the card now without being asked. Last week he moved a call so I could have 2 uninterrupted hours before a deadline. He told me afterward that he'd done it, not to announce it, just so I knew he had. The card is still on the desk. Most days it's green. Some of the most important systems in a shared life are invisible until someone finally asks to see how they work.